We are dealing with gravitation in continuation only, and we have discussed about the satellite. Satellite is a body which is revolving around the planet, or any heavenly body you can say, which is there in the universe, and the given body is revolving around that heavenly body. That is termed as a satellite. Like we have discussed that if I take Earth here in the universe and a body satellite of course is revolving around it in the fixed orbit, like moon is a natural satellite of the earth, and we are sending the satellites from here so as to use it for the getting the information, like for communication. We have calculated the value for the orbital velocity of the satellite. Of course, that was square root of gm upon small r. Square root of gm upon small r. Small r is the distance between the center of the earth and the center of the satellite. We are taking these bodies as the point bodies, because you know universal law of gravitation is valid for the point objects or the spherical objects. So today we have to find the time period of a satellite. So time period of satellite, it means when a body is revolving around the earth in a particular orbit with the orbital velocity, then time period, that is the time taken to complete one revolution around the earth. This is the definition of time period. It is the time taken by satellite to complete one revolution around the earth, denoted by capital T. And so if I want to find the value for the time period, I want to derive the expression for the time period of a satellite, then it will be equals to the circumference of this orbit in which the satellite is revolving, divided by the velocity with which it is revolving, and that velocity we have termed it as the orbital velocity. Now if we are assuming r is the distance, this r will act as the radius of this orbit, and the circumference will be given by 2 pi r, and 2 pi r is the circumference. V naught, I am writing the symbol for the orbital velocity. Again beta, my assumptions are same. Capital M is the mass of the earth, capital R is the radius of the earth, small m is the mass of the satellite. So if I am assuming that h is the height above the surface of earth for the given satellite, then of course this small r, it is equals to r, capital R plus h. Small r, it is equals to capital R plus h. So I can replace small r by capital R plus h. Value for the orbital velocity, that is equals to square root of gm upon small r. So small r again can be replaced by capital R plus h. So you can work out the things of this mathematically. Now I can write this equation for the time period t, it is equals to 2 pi square root of r plus h whole cube divided by capital G, capital M. Capital M is the mass of the earth. So this is one expression with me for the time period. We can use this expression directly in the numericals of this, by we need not find at that time. This is one way of writing the time period. Another way of writing the time period, again by my knowledge of the relation between the small g and capital G. Now small g, it is equals to capital G m divided by capital R square. This is when I take the value of acceleration due to gravity at the surface of earth. Now I can rewrite this as capital G capital M, it is equals to small g capital R square. So I can replace this value of gm in this first equation for the formula for the time period of a satellite. So when I replace the value, I am getting time period t, it is equals to 2 pi square root of r plus h whole cube divided by small g r square. Now again, this is the another way of writing the things. You can call it as equation number 2. That will be the second way of writing the time period. Third way I am going with, Now if I am taking rho as the mean density of the earth, of course we are assuming the earth to consist of a material of uniform density, and that uniform density I may term it as rho. Then mass of the earth can be written as volume into the earth is equals to volume will be equals to 4 by 3 pi r cube rho. Now this, from this value you can put the value of this mass in this first equation. First equation is the main equation as I've said. So T it is equals to 2 pi square root of r plus h whole cube divided by capital G m. Here this value of m I will be writing in this first equation, and I can rearrange the things. So I am getting the value for time period T it is equals to 2 pi square root of r plus h whole cube divided by G into 4 by 3 pi r cube rho. This is the value of m which I have changed. So I can rewrite this equation as 3 pi r plus h whole cube divided by G rho r cube. This is capital G. So now of course which is not the actual situation, but again to see the approximately what means what range I get for the time period of a satellite, so that accordingly we can go further for doing the practicals. So this value of T you have to take, that is equals to 2 pi square root of r cube divided by Gm. Here I am taking h equals to 0. If I take h equals to 0, then r plus h whole cube can be replaced simply by r cube. And if you solve the value from here, it will be convenient to write. If you are writing r cube and this is also r cube, they will get cancelled. And you are getting the value for this time period T, it is equals to 2 pi square root of your r upon small g. Again, if you put the values, take the values from this relation. Writing, if I am taking h equals to 0 from the first, second and third equation with me, and when you put the values, of course the result you will be getting the same, because constants again has been derived with the help of each other only. So I am getting the time period that is coming out to be 84.6 minutes. This is the time period of a satellite approximately which we are getting under this approximation when I am having small h equals to 0. We want to find is, that is the height of a satellite above the surface of Earth. Now when I am taking h is the height, this is from the previous formula. We have got this formula for the time period T square, which is equals to 4 pi square r plus h whole cube divided by gr square. This is the formula. Simply by squaring this equation number 2, I am getting this equation number 2 is there with you. T it is equals to 2 pi square root of r plus h whole cube divided by small g r square. Now if I do squaring both the sides for this equation number 2, you have to square both the sides. I am getting the formula can be written as T square, it is equals to 4 pi square r plus h whole cube divided by gr square. Now you can rearrange this equation. On rearranging, you are getting r plus h whole cube. This is equals to T square g capital R square divided by 4 pi square. Or you can write r plus h by taking this term power 1 by 3. So rearranging, I am getting the height of a satellite. It is equals to here's T square R square g divided by 4 pi square power 1 by 3 minus r. Of course, r is the radius of the earth and h is this height which is there. So this capital R plus H, that is equals to small r, we usually write. So this is the formula for the height of a satellite H. It is equals to T square R square G divided by 4 pi square power 1 by 3 minus R. Next with you is angular momentum. You should be knowing the formula for the angular momentum, that is given by mvr, and the value v here is the orbital velocity, which is given by square root of gm upon r. So I can write this formula as square root of g capital M small m square, because if I am taking it inside, into small r. So this is the formula for the angular momentum of a satellite. It is, if I am talking about the geostationary satellites, why they are termed geostationary? Because they look stationary when you are here on the earth and you are observing these satellites. They are, their time period of the revolution is same as that of earth. Their sense of rotation is also same as that of earth, and that is why they appear stationary to you, these satellites. So if you have to find the height of a geostationary satellite, then I can find simply by putting the known values to me and keeping the time period equals to 24 hours. So time period of the satellite, if it is equals to 24 hours, I can convert it into seconds, and I can put the values in this formula of height, that is equals to years t square r square g divided by 4 pi square power 1 by 3 minus r. Now if you put the value of capital T, capital R, which is 6400 kilometer, small g, which is 9.8 meter per second square, if I want to get the result in kilometer, I can convert this value into kilometer per second square. Pi is constant of this. So this is what I am getting the result for a height of a geostationary satellite. So nearly 36,000 kilometer is the height for a geostationary satellite. So it means that much height we have to give if I want to make a satellite as geostationary. So you should be able to write what are the necessary conditions for a satellite to behave like a geostationary satellite, as we have discussed. First point with you is that it should revolve in an orbit which is concentric and coplanar with the equatorial plane of the earth. It means, of course, it should be on the equatorial plane, and its sense of rotation should be same as that of earth, that is from west to east. Around the earth, that should be same as that of earth, that means equals to 24 hours. And calculated that if a satellite is geostationary, then height of that satellite should be nearly 36,000 kilometer above the surface of earth. You see, the diameter of the earth is 6400 kilometer, and how much above the surface you have to go. From here you can take the idea that when we talk about the variations in the acceleration due to gravity, how the things are happening actually in practical scenario, I can say that in practically we have to go this much high above the surface of earth, 36,000 kilometer above the surface of earth, and then I fix it into that particular orbit, and then I make the body to revolve around the earth. Of course, it is bound to use the geostationary satellites for the communication purpose. Then we are at least putting 3 satellites in the same orbit. This is also means you should be knowing that at the angle of 120 degree apart, so as to cover the whole earth. Otherwise, we will not be able to have the communication link for the whole earth. I should be putting 3 satellites in the same orbit. So means it is not that easy to put the satellite in the same orbit at that particular time difference. Means I have to plan the things very properly, very accurately, so that I am able to use those satellites for the communication purpose. When you are getting all this television, radio, FM, etc., you are able to get the signals by the reflection, like from one satellite the signal is going to the second satellite, and from second it is coming, and then of course they are coming to the earth. These signals are received by the earth. Of course we are having the whole system with us, where the receivers are there, on they receive the signal, transmitters are there to transmit the signal. The geostationary satellites of course should be clear and to you. First of course in communication we are using in radio, television, telephone, etc. And we are able to study the upper regions of the atmosphere. We are able to forecast the weather, but of course for weather forecasting, polar satellites are more reliable, but still we get the information from the geostationary satellites as well. We are able to study the solar radiations, shape and dimensions of the earth with the help of geostationary satellites. Of course, we have to make that system such accurate so as to get the pictures. As I was telling you that we are using satellites to get the, like for mining, where are the resources and all. You are using so frequently your GPS system. All these systems are working because of the satellites. So polar satellites, they are not covering the whole earth because they are passing over the north and south poles, but they pass number of times in a day. So more recent you may get the information. So that is why the only reason for weather and environment monitoring, polar satellites are there to give you more correct information, because they can give you information for the smaller spans of the time. For spying work, of course, we are using it. We are using it to study the topology of you can say moon, or any other planet you want. Supposingly you want Venus, Jupiter, etc. you may say. So all these topologies we are able to get their pictures. We are able to study by using the polar satellites. About the satellites, but if this one important thing with you is that I want to find the total energy of a satellite. On this energy of satellites, you get the numericals also. Total energy of satellites, it means whatever is the total energy possessed by a satellite, that is of course total energy years, that is equals to the sum of the potential energy plus kinetic energy. Total energy, that is equals to sum of the potential energy and kinetic energy. Now by this time you all are aware of that potential energy, that is of course the gravitational potential energy, is given by minus capital G capital M small m upon r. Of course we are assuming capital M to be the mass of the earth, small m to be the mass of the satellite, small r is the radius of the orbit of the satellite of this. And if I want to write the kinetic energy, that is equals to half m v naught square, because v naught is the velocity, orbital velocity with which the satellite is revolving in that given orbit. So if I put the value of v naught, that I am getting this expression for kinetic energy is half of small m square root of gm upon small r whole square. So I am getting half of gm divided by r. This is the kinetic energy with me. And if I see, you can see potential energy is negative simply to show you the attractive nature of the gravitational force. And when you find the total energy by putting the values, I am getting total energy, it is equals to minus capital G capital M small m divided by twice of small r. Small r is the radius. It means total energy is coming out to be negative. negative sign again to show that the satellite is bound to Earth. So means attractive force is there between the Earth and the satellite. Binding energy of satellite, that is the energy which is required to take the satellite out from its orbit. Like if I want to take the satellite out from its orbit, then how much energy I need to provide? So with what energy the satellite is bound to the Earth, that much energy I have to provide, but of course with negative sign. So you can write binding energy is the energy required to remove the satellite from its orbit. And mathematically it is equals to negative of total energy of the satellite. And total energy of the satellite is minus Gmm upon 2r. So binding energy is to be written with the positive sign of this Gmm upon 2r. So this is the expression for the binding energy of a satellite. Okay, so if you want to do the graph plotting between the energy of a satellite with the distance, then you can see kinetic energy, that is equals to yours 1/2 of Gmm divided by r. You can write the value if you wish. And total energy is minus of kinetic energy. Total energy is yours minus of kinetic energy. You can see that. That is your minus of 1/2 Gmm divided by r. So I have to draw it on the negative side. Potential energy, that is equals to minus of Gmm divided by r. So these values, if are clear, then the graph is, of course, you can see it is having the inverse relation with the r. So these are the shapes, and of course how much distance you keep here for the kinetic energy, same you put here for the total energy. And for potential energy, it is double of the kinetic energy or the total energy. Magnitude, direction, of course, on the negative side you have to take. So it means you should be able to do the graph plotting for the variation of the energies, kinetic energy, total energy and potential energies with distance, and you will be more comfortable if you know the values, and these values, these results, you need to keep it in your mind for solving the numericals as well. So keep things up to this point. Thank you everyone.